For many years, Earth had lived under the rule of the Zarkon Empire. Their ships arrived from the stars on a day that no human would ever forget. The sky had turned red and bright with the arrival of the alien fleet, their ships so big they blocked out the sun. After that day, nothing was ever the same for the people of Earth. The Zarkon called themselves protectors, but it was clear from the start that they were conquerors. Their leaders promised order and safety, but what they really brought was fear and control. They forced their rules on everyone. Human cities were changed into alien outposts, and people lost their freedom overnight. Carter, a young engineer, had never known what true freedom felt like. He was only a teenager when the Zarkon first came. His family lived in a small apartment in the city, crowded among other families who were just trying to get by. The Zarkon had set up checkpoints everywhere. Every street had cameras and guards. If a human broke the rules, they were punished quickly and harshly. Most humans tried their best to live quietly. They worked the jobs given to them by the Zarkon and followed all the alien laws. But Carter saw how the Zarkon treated his parents, how his father's shop was closed down because it was not useful to the Empire, and how his mother had to work long hours for very little food. Carter hated it, but he knew there was nothing he could do, at least not alone. Sometimes Carter would walk past the old library which the Zarkon had closed. He remembered when it was a place filled with laughter and learning. Now it was just another locked building. He always felt sad seeing how much the world had changed. The Zarkon didn't understand humans, and they didn't care to learn. To them, humans were just another species to control. But even under the watchful eyes of the Zarkon, some people still found ways to fight back. Whispers passed between trusted friends, messages shared in secret, and hope was kept alive in small acts of kindness and bravery. Carter heard stories of humans who refused to give up, who found ways to break the rules and help each other. He didn't know if those stories were true, but he wanted to believe they were. At night, Carter would sit by his small window and look up at the stars. He wondered what life was like beyond Earth. He imagined a world where humans were free again, where the Zarkon had left and people could live without fear. But those thoughts always felt far away. The Zarkon were too strong, their ships too powerful, and their technology was unlike anything humans had ever seen. One day, Carter decided he couldn't just wait for someone else to save them. He started collecting broken devices, old radios, discarded computers, anything that still had some life in it. He spent hours every evening fixing what he could, hiding his work from the Zarkon patrols. Carter didn't know what he was looking for at first, but as he repaired each piece, he realized he wanted to build a way for humans to talk to each other without the Zarkon listening. He worked alone at first, worried that even his family might be at risk if they knew what he was doing. The Zarkon punished whole families for even small acts of rebellion. Carter remembered the day a neighbor disappeared, taken away because someone in their house was caught with forbidden books. Since then, everyone was careful. One cold night, Carter finally managed to fix an old handheld radio. His hands shook as he turned the dial, listening for any sound that wasn't the Zarkon's official broadcasts. At first, there was only static. He tried different frequencies, his heart racing. Then, for just a second, he heard a human voice, a quick message, spoken in code. Carter almost dropped the radio in surprise. He had found proof that he was not alone. From that night on, Carter listened to the radio every chance he got. Sometimes, he caught only broken words, but it was enough to fill him with new hope. He wanted to know more, but he knew he had to be careful. The Zarkon had their own spies and could trace illegal signals. Carter started writing down everything he heard. Some messages talked about hiding places, safe routes through the city, or warnings about patrols. Others sounded like calls for help. Carter wished he could answer, but he didn't have the equipment to send messages yet. He kept fixing more devices, hoping that one day he could reach out and join the others. Meanwhile, the Zarkon grew stricter. They brought more guards to the city, and curfews were enforced with more force. Rumors spread about humans disappearing at night, taken to work camps or sent off-world. Fear kept most people quiet, but Carter noticed more people glancing over, their shoulders moving in groups or passing secret notes. Something was changing, even if it was slow. One afternoon, while Carter was out looking for spare parts, he ran into his old friend Lisa. She used to be a soldier before the Zarkon disbanded the human armies. Now she worked as a mechanic, fixing machines for the aliens. Lisa had always been brave, never afraid to speak her mind, even when it got her into trouble. They walked together for a while, talking quietly. Carter asked if she remembered what it was like before the invasion. Lisa smiled sadly and nodded. She said she missed the days when people could dream about the future. Carter hesitated, then told her about the radio and the messages. Lisa's eyes lit up with excitement and hope. She promised to help him find more parts and keep watch while he worked. With Lisa's help, Carter felt less alone. Together, they began searching for others who still believed in freedom. They found Omar, a clever young man who worked at the city's power station. Omar was good with machines and could move through the city without drawing attention. He agreed to join them after Carter showed him how the radio worked. The small group met in secret, always moving locations to stay ahead of Zarkon patrols. They shared what they knew, talked about their dreams, and planned ways to help other humans. They started to see themselves not just as victims, but as the beginning of something new, a spark of hope. The Zarkon noticed small changes. Their supply lines had minor problems, and sometimes their patrols found messages written in code on walls. They ignored these acts at first, thinking humans were too weak to do anything serious. But Carter, Lisa, and Omar knew these were signs of something bigger. They believed if they could grow their group, they might make a real difference. Carter worked day and night, driven by a sense of purpose he'd never felt before. Even though he was scared, he refused to let fear rule his life. Every time he fixed a device or helped someone avoid a patrol, he felt stronger. He believed that humans could fight back, not with big weapons, but with courage, friendship, and hope. The city still felt dark and cold, but for the first time in years, Carter saw light in the eyes of the people around him. Whispers of rebellion traveled from street to street. The Zarkon might control Earth for now, but Carter knew that as long as there were people willing to fight, the aliens could never truly win. And so, in the quiet shadows of the city, the first steps of rebellion began. Carter, Lisa, and Omar did not know if they would succeed, but they refused to give up. The future of Earth would be decided not by the strength of the Zarkon, but by the courage of humans who dared to hope. After that night, Carter could not sleep. The voice he had heard on the radio was stuck in his mind. For the first time, he felt real hope, but he also felt nervous. What if the Zarkon discovered what he was doing? He tried to keep his work hidden, but he knew the risk was always there. The thought did not stop him. It only made him more careful. Lisa and Omar were now his closest friends, and their trust in each other grew every day. Lisa taught Carter how to avoid Zarkon patrols. She had a soldier's sharp eyes, and she noticed things Carter would have missed, like new security drones or when the guards changed their routes. Omar had a way of moving through the city that made him almost invisible. He knew which alleys to take, which buildings had secret doors, and which workers could be trusted. One cold morning, Carter woke to the sound of a stone hitting his window. He looked outside and saw Lisa, signaling him to come down. He dressed quickly and hurried out, hiding his tools under the floorboards just in case. When he reached her, Lisa told him she had something important to show him. They walked together, toward the edge of the city, moving carefully through the back streets. The city felt different at dawn, quieter, almost peaceful. But the signs of Zarkon control were everywhere: high fences, watchtowers, and the ever-present flags with strange symbols. They stopped at a ruined playground where a group of children played in silence, watched closely by an alien guard. Lisa nodded toward an old building with boarded windows. "This is where we meet," she whispered. Carter followed her inside. The room was dark, with only a few rays of sunlight coming through, cracks in the boards. There were 6 other people already there, men and women of different ages, all with tired but determined faces. Carter felt a little scared, but also proud to stand with them. A tall woman named Mrs. Harper led the meeting. She was strong and calm, and people respected her. She listened as Lisa introduced Carter and Omar. Carter shared what he had learned, with the radio and the messages he had heard. When he finished, Mrs. Harper nodded. "You are not alone," she said. "There are groups like us all over the city. We call ourselves the Home Front." Hearing the name made Carter's heart beat faster. It was the first time he felt like he belonged to something bigger. Mrs. Harper explained that their goal was not just to survive, but to fight back. "The Zarkon think humans are weak," she said, "but we have strength in our hearts. We know our city. We know each other. That is something they will never have." The meeting was short, but every minute felt important. The group shared news, passed around supplies, and made plans for small acts of resistance. They would break machines that the Zarkon needed, leave secret signs to warn others of patrols, and help families who were in danger. Carter's skills, with radios and electronics, were suddenly very valuable. He promised to repair more devices so they could talk to other groups without being caught. Lisa and Omar joined Carter in searching for more parts. They visited old garages, abandoned shops, and even the city dump. Sometimes they had to sneak past Zarkon guards or pretend to be looking for food. They worked together like a team, and their friendship grew stronger. Omar always had a joke ready when things got tense, and Lisa never let fear show on her face. 1. Evening. As the sun set and the city lights flickered on, Carter heard another coded message on the radio. This one was clearer than before. "Meeting tonight. Old subway. All who believe in freedom, come." Carter looked at Lisa and Omar. They knew what they had to do. The subway was a dark, empty place since the Zarkon had stopped all trains. Carter, Lisa, and Omar moved quietly, listening for any sound. They reached the platform where they found a larger group than before, maybe 20 people, all gathered in a circle. Mrs. Harper stood at the front, her voice strong and steady. "We are the Home Front," she said. "We are not alone. Tonight we plan our first big move." The plan was simple, but risky. The Zarkon had a warehouse where they stored supplies, food, medicine, and technology. The Home Front wanted to break in, take what they needed, and leave a message for the Zarkon to show that humans would not be silent anymore. Carter's job was to cut the power to the security cameras. Lisa and a few others would sneak inside and gather supplies. Omar would watch for guards and signal if anything went wrong. Everyone felt the tension, but no one backed down. That night, Carter crawled through the shadows behind the warehouse. His hands shook as he worked with old wires and circuits, trying not to make any noise. He thought about his parents and how proud they would be if they knew what he was doing. After a few minutes, the lights in the warehouse flickered and then went out. He held his breath and waited. Lisa and her team moved fast. They grabbed bags of rice, boxes of medicine, and a few tools. Before leaving, Lisa sprayed a message on the wall in big, bold letters. "We are still here." Omar watched as the Zarkon guards scrambled in confusion. He whistled softly, a signal to the others to retreat. The group slipped away into the night, hearts pounding with excitement and fear. Back in their safe place, everyone celebrated quietly. It was a small victory, but it meant everything. People smiled and hugged each other. Some even cried tears of happiness. Carter felt like he was part of something powerful, something that could grow and change the future. Over the next weeks, the Home Front continued their secret work. They fixed more radios, shared supplies with families in need, and left coded messages all over the city. Other groups began to join them, sending their own messages of hope. For the first time, the Zarkon noticed real trouble. They sent more patrols, searched houses, and tried to catch the humans responsible. But the home front was careful and quick. They trusted each other, and that made them strong. Carter saw changes in the people around him. Neighbors who used to be afraid now smiled and whispered encouragement. Children played games pretending to be rebels, running and laughing in the streets. The city started to feel alive again, even under the shadow of alien control. One day, Lisa brought news from another part of the city. A different group had destroyed a Zarkon supply truck. The Zarkon were angry and confused, unable to believe that humans could do so much with so little. Carter smiled. He knew the home front had inspired others to act. Carter, Lisa, and Omar met, with Mrs. Harper and the leaders of other groups. They talked about how to grow the resistance, share information, and protect their families. Carter showed them how to use the radios to send coded messages. Everyone practiced until they could send signals quickly and without mistakes. As the home front grew, so did the risks. The Zarkon caught a few members and everyone felt their loss deeply. But those moments of sadness only made the group more determined. Carter promised himself he would never give up, no matter how hard things became. Late one night, Carter sat by his window listening to the radio. He heard voices from far away, other humans fighting back in different cities. The world felt smaller and more connected than ever before. Carter realized that the Zarkon were wrong to think humans were weak. When humans worked together, there was nothing they could not do. From that moment, Carter believed that freedom was not just a dream. It was something worth fighting for, and he knew he was not alone. The home front was just the beginning. Across the city and maybe even the world, humans were waking up, ready to stand together and show the Zarkon what it really meant to be strong. Weeks passed, and the home front's courage began to spread across the city like a secret fire. What started as a few acts of hope soon grew into something much bigger. The Zarkon had always believed humans would never dare to fight back. But the Empire was now facing a problem it did not understand. People who had once kept their heads down started to act braver. Some shared food and supplies in secret. Others passed notes or warned neighbors when Zarkon patrols were close. Carter was always busy now. He fixed more radios, built small alarms to warn of patrols, and drew maps to show safe paths through the city. Lisa met with new members, teaching them how to watch the streets and send coded messages. Omar trained a group of teenagers to be lookouts. They were fast and clever, moving through the city's shadows without being noticed. The home front decided it was time to do more than just steal supplies. They wanted to hurt the Zarkon's power. Mrs. Harper called a meeting. She stood in front of the group, her eyes serious. "The Zarkon think they own us," she said, "but every act of rebellion makes them weaker. If we take away their control, piece by piece, maybe one day they'll be the ones who are afraid." Carter agreed. He had a plan to destroy one of the Zarkon's main supply bases. This base had fuel, weapons, and food for the soldiers. If the home front could take it out, it would slow down the aliens and show every human that resistance was possible. It was a dangerous plan. The supply base was well guarded and had a fence of buzzing energy all around it. The home front spent days watching the guards and learning the patrol schedule. Omar found a way to sneak under the fence through an old sewer pipe. Lisa drew up a map showing the location of cameras and guard posts. Carter built small devices that could jam the Zarkon's radios for a few minutes, just enough to confuse the guards. The night of the mission was cold and silent. The home front moved in groups of 3, each with a task. Lisa led the first group, through the sewer. Their boots splashed in the water and the darkness pressed close around them. Carter's heart pounded, but he kept moving. When they reached the end of the tunnel, Lisa peered out carefully, then waved everyone forward. Outside, the supply base stood behind tall metal walls, shining under blue alien lights. Carter set up the radio jammer, his fingers shaking. He counted. Down in his head, 3, 2, 1, then flipped the switch. The base lights flickered. Lisa gave the signal, and the team moved out. They ran across the open ground, using shadows for cover. Omar and 2 others slipped into the guardhouse and quietly locked the doors. Carter led a group to the fuel tanks. He used his tools to set up small charges, enough to destroy the fuel but not to hurt anyone nearby. Lisa and her team filled bags with stolen food and medicine. Suddenly, a loud siren blared. The radio jammer had stopped working, and the Zarkon were scrambling to respond. Guards rushed to their posts, shouting orders in their harsh, alien language. Carter saw 2 soldiers heading for the fuel tanks. He signaled to Lisa, who threw a smoke bomb to distract them. "Go! Go!" Lisa shouted. Omar and the lookouts ran first, carrying supplies toward the sewer. Carter pressed the button on his remote. The charges exploded and flames lit up the night. Fuel tanks burst, sending fire high into the air. The guards panicked, some running for safety, others trying to put out the fire. In all the chaos, Carter, Lisa, and the rest of the home front escaped back through the tunnel. By the time they returned to their hiding place, the city was buzzing with news. People saw the fire from miles away. Some cheered quietly in their homes. Others whispered that the Zarkon had finally been hurt. The home front shared out the food and medicine with families who needed it most. They patched up small wounds and hugged each other, feeling a new kind of hope. The next day, Zarkon soldiers searched the city. They checked houses, questioned workers, and tried to scare people into giving up information. But the home front had planned well. No one knew who had done the attack except those who were part of the mission. Mrs. Harper called everyone together. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The Zarkon will try to make us afraid. But now they know we can fight back. We must be careful, but we must also keep going. If we stop now, all this will be for nothing." Carter nodded. He knew the risks were growing, but he also saw something new in the eyes of everyone around him, something the Zarkon could never understand. It was the look of people who had tasted hope. As days went on, small acts of resistance grew bolder. Carter helped design fake Zarkon messages that sent patrols to the wrong places. Lisa trained new fighters in secret. Omar and the teenagers became expert spies, sending news from one end of the city to the other. The home front made sure every family had food, and they protected each other like one big family. One evening, Carter fixed a powerful transmitter. He used it to send a simple message, repeated again and again. "You are not alone. We are fighting back." All over the city, humans with hidden radios heard his words. For some, it was the first time they felt hope since the invasion began. The Zarkon commanders were furious. They punished some workers and set new curfews. They flew their ships low over the city, trying to scare everyone into silence. But everywhere they looked, they saw signs of trouble. Banners with human symbols appeared on tall buildings. Supplies went missing. Patrols returned with stories of ghosts attacking from the shadows. One day, the home front received a secret message from another human group in a nearby city. They, too, were fighting back, inspired by stories of rebellion from Carter's city. They wanted to join forces, to share knowledge and plans. Mrs. Harper gathered the group and read the message aloud. Everyone cheered. Carter, Lisa, and Omar spent hours helping Mrs. Harper write a reply. They sent advice on how to hide, how to use coded messages, and how to build simple alarms. The home front felt stronger knowing they were not the only ones standing up to the Zarkon. The city changed more with every week. People began to walk taller. Some even smiled at Zarkon guards, no longer afraid. Carter's parents noticed the change in their son. He seemed happier, more confident. They didn't know all his secrets, but they trusted him and tried to help however they could. Then one day, trouble struck. A new Zarkon officer arrived in the city, known for being strict and clever. She quickly guessed that humans were hiding. Something big. She doubled patrols, searched every block, and questioned workers for hours. The home front had to stop meeting for a few days and stay hidden. Carter worried every minute, afraid the Zarkon might discover their secret radios or the tunnel they used. Lisa watched the patrols, trying to guess what the new officer would do next. Omar sneaked out to warn other groups and to move supplies. One evening, Mrs. Harper called a secret meeting. "We cannot give up now," she said softly. "We must be more careful, but we cannot stop. The Zarkon want us to be afraid, but we have shown them what we can do." Carter agreed. Even though the danger was greater now, he could not imagine going back to the old days of silence and fear. He looked around at his friends, Lisa with her brave eyes, Omar with his quick smile, Mrs. Harper standing strong, and knew they were all ready for whatever came next. As the night fell, Carter stood outside, looking up at the stars. Somewhere, out there, humans in other cities were listening to his message. Across Earth, small flames of rebellion burned brighter each day. The Zarkon believed they were unbreakable, but they had never faced the full courage of humanity. The fight was far from over, but Carter knew in his heart that the future belonged to those who dared to hope, to dream, and to fight for freedom. No matter what happened next, humans would stand together, and the Zarkon would never forget the day they truly fought back. Every corner of the city seemed to hold its breath as the new Zarkon officer made her presence known. Her name was Commander Sylar. She was taller than the other Zarkon, with deep blue eyes and a sharp, cold way of speaking. The other Zarkon followed her orders without question. She studied every patrol report and every small accident. She even walked the streets herself, her boots echoing on the empty roads at night. The humans noticed her, too. She moved with quiet confidence, always watching. Carter, Lisa, Omar, and the rest of the home front met less often, and when they did, it was always in a new place. They switched routes, changed signals, and trusted only a small group of people with their secrets. Carter took apart some of the radios and hid their pieces, so if one was found, the Zarkon wouldn't understand it. Commander Sylar started asking questions about Carter's block. One afternoon, a group of Zarkon soldiers came to his building, searching each apartment and asking about missing supplies. Carter kept calm, but his heart pounded as they walked past his hidden radio parts. They didn't find anything, but Carter knew he had to be more careful than ever. The home front watched as Sylar set up a new base inside the old human police station. From there, she commanded drones to scan rooftops and alleys. She made Zarkon. Troops stand guard at the city's markets and near the main gates. But her sharpest weapon was fear. She wanted the humans to be too scared to even think about fighting back. Instead, something new began to grow. The people started to watch. Her, too. Carter and Lisa used Omar's network of teenagers to keep track of Sylar's movements. Each time she changed patrols or sent drones to a new part of the city, someone from the home front was there to see it. One day, Carter sat with Lisa on the roof of a broken bakery. He handed her a notebook filled with codes and notes about Zarkon, patterns. "She is clever, but she cannot watch everywhere at once," Carter said quietly. Lisa nodded. "She's trying to close every door, but she's leaving windows open. We just need to find them." Meanwhile, Mrs. Harper made a plan. The home front would send false messages, making Sylar think an attack was coming at the north gates. All their real supplies and members would move through the south tunnels right under Sylar's nose. It was a test of courage and trust. That night, Carter helped Omar carry medicine and food down to the tunnels. Lisa led the group of new recruits who were nervous but determined. They had to move quickly and quietly. Above them, Zarkon patrols searched the empty streets, following orders from Sylar. Suddenly, a noise echoed in the tunnel. One of the new recruits dropped a metal can. Everyone froze, listening for footsteps above. After a few tense seconds, they moved again, hearts pounding. Lisa whispered, "Stay strong. We're almost there." At the same time, Mrs. Harper's group started fires at the north gate using smoke bombs and loud alarms to draw attention. Zarkon guards rushed to stop the fires, leaving the south tunnels unguarded. Carter, Lisa, and Omar reached the safe house on the other side, bringing supplies and news. For once, the plan went perfectly. In the morning, Commander Seiler was furious. She ordered even more patrols, but the home front had already vanished. News of their success spread, lifting the spirits of everyone in the city. Families whispered, "They fooled her," and some even dared to smile. As days turned into weeks, the home front learned how to use Seiler's own order against her. Carter created devices that picked up drone signals, letting the group know where to hide. Lisa and the lookouts found patterns in the way the Zarkon searched buildings, so they could always be one step ahead. Omar made maps of every tunnel and safe house, sharing them only with those he trusted completely. But Sylar was not ready to give up. She brought in a new device, a scanner that could detect radio signals and hidden messages. The home front had to work even harder, switching to hand signals and secret knocks on doors. Carter stayed up late every night, designing ways to hide their messages. He used old books, loose floorboards, and even children's drawings to pass secret codes. Lisa grew close to the new recruits, teaching them courage and patience. She reminded them that every act of kindness and bravery helped their cause. One day, she found a young girl crying after her mother was taken by the Zarkon for questioning. Lisa hugged her and promised to help. The home front made sure the girl was safe and found a way to bring food to her family. Omar heard from a contact that the Zarkon were bringing more troops from another city. The home front knew they needed to act fast, before the city was completely locked down. Mrs. Harper called everyone together in the safe house. "We must take a risk," she said. "If we can capture Seiler's radio scanner, we can send messages to other cities. We can show them how to fight back." It was a bold plan. The scanner was kept in Seiler's new base, guarded at all times. But Carter had studied the guards' routines and believed there was a weak spot during the shift change at night. The home front split into two teams. Lisa, Carter, and Omar would go inside and grab the scanner. Mrs. Harper and the rest would create a distraction outside, making as much noise as possible. When night came, Carter's hands shook with nervous energy. He checked his bag of tools, again and again. Lisa placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We can do this," she whispered. They moved like shadows through the dark streets, using alleyways and hidden doors. At the police station, Mrs. Harper's team set off fireworks and alarms, drawing Zarkon guards out into the open. Inside, Carter, Lisa, and Omar crept up the back stairs. They reached the small room where the scanner was kept. Only one guard stood outside. Omar tossed a pebble down the hall, and when the guard left to check the noise, Lisa slipped in. She unplugged the scanner and wrapped it in a blanket. Carter helped carry it, careful not to drop anything. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hall. The guard returned, shouting in his alien tongue. Lisa, Carter, and Omar ran down the stairs as alarms began to blare. Outside, Mrs. Harper signaled for the escape route, and the home front scattered in every direction. Carter, Lisa, and Omar ran through the streets, holding the scanner tightly. Zarkon patrols chased after them, but the lookouts sent warnings through the city. People opened doors and waved the team inside, hiding them in basements and attics. The whole city seemed to help, moving together like one giant family. When the home front finally met in a hidden room, everyone cheered. Carter set up the scanner and began tuning it. Soon the device picked up voices from other human groups far beyond their city. Hope filled the room. Lisa hugged the young girl she had helped earlier, and Omar clapped Carter on the back, Commander Sylar was furious the next morning. She ordered new searches, but no one in the city gave her any answers. The scanner was gone, and so was her control. She realized that for all her power, she could not stop the spirit of the humans. Carter looked at his friends and smiled. "We did it," he said softly. But they all knew the fight was not finished. More Zarkon ships would come. The risks would only grow. Still, the home front stood ready, side by side, believing that every act of courage brought them closer to freedom. The city was changing. Where fear once ruled, hope now began to grow. Even as the Zarkon tightened their grip, the humans found new ways to push back. In quiet corners and dark tunnels, the home front made plans for the future, refusing to be broken. Carter believed that as long as humans stood together, there was nothing they could not face. The city never truly slept now. Even when the night was deep and quiet, there was a pulse in the darkness, a secret energy moving through every home and street. Where fear once kept people silent, hope had become a new language. Carter, Lisa, Omar, and the home front could feel the change everywhere. The stolen Zarkon scanner was more than a tool. It was a symbol. It meant humans could do what the Zarkon thought impossible. It meant the enemy was not as strong as they pretended. Using the scanner, Carter found more human voices than he ever expected. At first, there were only whispers, short messages from distant places. "We are here. Do not give up. We resist in the West." Soon, the signals grew stronger and more confident. Human groups from other cities, sometimes even from across the sea, began to share their stories. The home front learned about new tricks, like how to hide food or use water pipes to send messages under buildings. The scanner became a bridge between cities, a network of rebellion. One cold morning, as frost covered the city's windows, Mrs. Harper gathered the home front. She spoke with calm pride. "We are not alone anymore," she said. "There are hundreds of groups like us, and now we have a way to stand together. The Zarkon think we are weak because we are separate, but united, we are strong." Lisa looked around at the group, old friends and new faces, some young, some old, but all with determined eyes. She stood and said, "If we work together, we can do more than just survive. We can make the Zarkon leave Earth forever." That idea spread quickly. The scanner buzzed with new plans. Some groups offered to cause distractions, others to cut Zarkon power lines or jam their signals. A plan was born that would involve the whole city and many beyond. The goal was simple but risky: to show the Zarkon everywhere that humans were finished being quiet and afraid. The home front decided to strike at the main Zarkon command center in the city. It was a tall building filled with alien machines and protected by the Empire's best soldiers. If they could take it, even for a few hours, the message would reach every corner of Earth and far into the stars. Humans would not be ruled. Omar helped design the attack. He drew maps on the safe house wall, showing hidden paths and old tunnels under the city. Lisa trained new fighters, teaching them how to move quickly and safely. Carter worked night after night, building small electronic tools to open locked doors, jam alien weapons, and send false orders to Zarkon patrols. On the night before the attack, Carter sat with Lisa and Omar on the roof, looking up at the stars. The city was quiet, but every light in the distance seemed to promise something better. "Do you think we can really do it?" Omar asked, his voice soft. Carter nodded. "We have to try. The Zarkon are strong, but they don't understand us. They think we're just scared animals. Tomorrow we'll show them what humans really are." Lisa smiled. "We fight for each other. That's why we're strong." Dawn came cold and gray. The home front moved in groups, each with a job. Mrs. Harper led a team to the power station, planning to cut off electricity to the command center at the right moment. Omar's group prepared the tunnels under the city for escape. Lisa and Carter were at the front, ready to enter the building when the time was right. Just before noon, signals crackled across the city. Coded whistles, flashes from windows, the ringing of church bells that had been silent for years. All at once, humans everywhere began to act. Some set off small explosions to block Zarkon patrols. Others poured into the streets, shouting for freedom and confusing the guards. Even children played their part, running messages and leading patrols. The wrong way. At the command center, the Zarkon were ready for a normal day, not an attack. Suddenly, the lights went out, alarms rang, and doors locked and unlocked in the wrong order. Carter's devices worked perfectly, jamming the alien security. Lisa led a team through a side entrance, past confused guards who had lost their orders. Inside, humans used tools and quick thinking to control the building's main floor. For the first time, the Zarkon commanders felt real panic. They tried to send messages to their ships in orbit, but Carter's team jammed the signals. Some Zarkon fled to the roof, hoping for rescue, but found the stairs blocked. Others tried to fight, but the humans outnumbered them and moved as a team. Outside, crowds gathered, cheering and waving signs. Even those who were too afraid to fight before found their courage in that moment. The Zarkon watched from the windows and saw the faces of a people who refused to be broken. Commander Sylar appeared, her blue eyes colder than ever. She tried to lead a squad of soldiers to retake the command center. Lisa faced her at the front door. For a long moment, the two leaders stared at each other. Then Lisa spoke, her voice steady. "Go. Leave Earth. You cannot win here." Sylar raised her weapon, but Omar's device made it spark and die. Carter stepped forward. "You are not welcome. Earth is ours." Seeing her soldiers losing their will, Sylar made a hard choice. She called her retreat, ordering all Zarkon in the city to return to their ships. The humans watched in disbelief as the aliens hurried through the streets, gathering their things and pushing past each other in fear. As the Zarkon ships lifted off, leaving behind machines and buildings but taking their pride with them, a cheer rose through the city that could be heard for miles. Carter, Lisa, Omar, and the home front stood together on the steps of the command center, tired but full of joy. The world changed that day. Carter's parents hugged him, their eyes full of tears. Mrs. Harper met with other resistance leaders from across the region, planning for a future free from fear. Children ran in the open again, laughing and playing without looking over their shoulders. Even as humans celebrated, they worked to rebuild. There were many broken things to fix, buildings, roads, even friendships. But people helped each other, remembering how it felt to be united by hope. Carter repaired old radios, not for war, but so families could talk to loved ones far away. Lisa trained people in self-defense, not because they expected another invasion, but because she wanted everyone to feel strong. Omar started a school in the old subway tunnels, teaching young people about courage and clever thinking. Mrs. Harper became a leader in the new city council, her calm voice guiding decisions that affected everyone. As for Carter, he sometimes sat on the roof at night, watching the stars. The scars of war were still there, but they no longer felt heavy. He knew that the Zarkon, somewhere far away, would tell stories about Earth, the world that refused to bow, the people who would not give up. Humans were not the strongest or the most advanced species, but they had something no alien could ever take, a spirit that would not be broken. One evening, a new message came across the old scanner. It was a voice from another world, soft but clear. "We heard what happened on Earth. You have given us hope. Maybe we too can be free." Carter smiled, knowing the fight for freedom was not just for humans, but for all who were oppressed. Earth had sent a message to the stars, and it began with one small group refusing to surrender. In the end, the Zarkon did not flee because of weapons or numbers, but because they saw a truth they could not defeat. When humans finally fight back, nothing can stand in their way.